Hello and welcome back to SoMo Diecast. My name is Ron. Well, today we have something a little different. I generally skip over and do a lot of things off camera that are time consuming and sometimes frustrating. But there may be a few people out there that are new to this hobby. And so today I'm going to basically show you how I drill out a Hot Wheels car. Could be a Matchbox, Hot Wheels, Dinky, any of those. And we're going to use this little 8 crate as our starting point, mainly because it only has one post. And this is going to be for a future build, so I thought this would be a good time to maybe do a little tutorial, show you how I do this, and hopefully it'll be a handy tutorial for you. So the first thing I do is take a look at how deep that post is, how many posts there are, and determine how deep I'm ultimately going to need to go. Now I use a .123 drill bit, and the objective is to drill that and just enough to get the ring to pop off. Doesn't always work, but sometimes it does, so let's go ahead and give it a shot. I always start the drill kind of slow because these things have a way of deciding to wobble around, and I also moved the car around a little bit, trying to get that to break through. And once I get a pretty good bite on it, then I might step it up a little bit. And doesn't look like we're going to get the ring removed, but we got a pretty clean little, we're getting there. As you can see, it does start coming off. Now we left a little around the edges here, but if you're careful, you can use that drill bit to kind of move that around a little bit. And if you can't get the ring to come off completely, but you got it drilled down far enough, you can use like a screwdriver and just pry the rest of that ring out of the way, being careful not to break your base or tear up the casting. And as I said, this can be a lot of fun or it can be very frustrating. This one has decided to be the latter and doesn't want to come off. However, when we get it down enough that it will eventually come off, he said. There it goes. We get the rest of the ring off it out of the way. And there it goes. Now, fun part then after that is getting the base off. If you are drilled deep enough, which apparently I almost there, get it down enough to where it will come off, and look at there, we have success. Now once I have that off, I will take a Dremel with a little burr on it and I will clean that up. Don't want to use a lot of speed because you just want to take the rest of that off the top of that and get it down basically to where it's about the level of the top of your base. I'll also kind of go around and taper it a little bit. This way it makes it a lot easier to put back together, ultimately. Flattens it out a little bit. Now, you don't have to use a Dremel. You can do this with a file. I use a Dremel because it's a little bit quicker. Sometimes they're a little more delicate. I don't have a lot of room to work, and so we will use a file. Okay. Once we get it down about where we need it, almost there. A little more off this side over here. Like I said, I work with very slow speeds because Dremels have a way of jumping out of your hands. All right. Now, what I like to do once I get it drilled like that is basically slip it back into place and make sure that it will re-engage the way it should. So it's a little tricky. It has one tab in the back. So let's go ahead and put the glass back in. And maybe the rest of this will go back in the way it's supposed to. Maybe not. There we go. Get it where it needs to be. And there we go. Pops it back in. So we'll go ahead and pop that back out. Now, the next thing I do is I'm going to take this little 0.078 drill bit, and I use a little tape on this to give it me a depth so I don't over drill the hole, and in spite of the tape there, sometimes I do. So we're going to drill, try to keep to the middle of that, and again, we start at a slow speed. Try to get the drill centered as much as possible so we don't blow out our post. And clean out the shavings a little bit. As you can see, we got a pretty good center on that. So we'll keep drilling this until we get it fully drilled. Now this is of course for a 256 screw. If you have to use the smaller 177 screws, you will need to use something like a 1/16, much smaller drill bit. And I hold these with my hands. A lot of guys don't like using their hands because in the event you actually drill through the casting, and I've done this more than once, you also drill through your finger. And trust me, that is painful and not any fun. And hopefully grandkids, kids, and everybody else are not around when that happens, because generally they could be in getting an enhanced vocabulary when you do that. It's kind of akin to hitting your finger with the hammer. So, just almost there. We're about halfway to the depth we need. Now, I have had cases where I've drilled and the drill bit gets a little stuck. If that's the case, you just reverse it and back the drill bit out so you don't oversize your hole. And we're just about there. I hope you find this interesting. It's something, like I said, I know a lot of guys include it in their videos. I prefer to include other things like just the customizing and things like that. And parts of my videos are more like highlights because I don't think everybody wants to sit around and watch me drill and tap a screw or do all of the filing and so forth. All right, now once we got it drilled, I'm going to put a drop or two of oil in that little hole. Now, you can use anything. I know there are some people that use like Vaseline, and I've used that from time to time on these. It does work. Anything that will lubricate it. And this is, of course, our 256 tap with the handy dandy tap handle. And I got both of these from Bright Vision. They are readily available. So you start slowly, turn the tap. Once you get 2 or 3 turns, back it out a little bit just to kind of clear the shavings out of the way. And you continue doing that. You don't want to go at this real fast and real hard because that tap is very small, and the last thing you want to do is break your tap in your casting because they are nearly impossible to get out. All right, we've bottomed out our tap, so we're going to go ahead and back out our tap out of the hole, and we're going to clean off our tap just a little bit, and we're going to put our little casting back together. And once we get it back together, we're going to take this little screwdriver. Now you can get these as Phillips, or they also have them as button head Allen. Get that screw in there. I'm going to tighten that down. And you can test it before you put it back together, but if you got a good tap, you really don't need to test fit it. But there it is. That is how I drill and tap for a modern Hot Wheels. Now, if you get into the older Matchbox, the process is very similar, but as you can see, this front post is a little short, so you might want to use, rather than a 256 by 3/16 screw, you might want to go with a 1/8. Both of these, when I do this little car, out of shot, doing all that talking. Again, this is an older Matchbox AMX Javelin. It's got a very short post in the front. The back's a little taller, but this will wind up with a 256 by 1/8 screw in the front and the back. So if you get into some of the red lines, that's when you need to use the smaller tap and smaller screws and smaller drill bits. Well, that is my little tutorial for today. And like I said, I hope you find this interesting. And if you do, or you don't, leave me a comment. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please do, and share with your friends. If there is some process you would like to see me do a little tutorial on, or maybe go more in depth on, leave me a comment, and I'll see if I can throw together a video. Well, this wasn't very long. It took all of about 4 minutes, start to finish. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next.